have our choice beef brisket. Paid way too much money for it. It does not really have good marbling. That extra hand here is my daughter. Sorry, it's quarantine. We're all home together, so there will be extra noise here in the background, and she's learning as well. So cook with your family, people. Here we have a beef brisket, like I said, choice, flat, not a lot of marbling, but hopefully we can make this thing come out nice, beautiful, sexy, tender, and juicy.
So pretty.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and take this brisket out of this pack real quick. Tip, don't slice on the bottom, slice the top like this, and then we'll pull the brisket out. That way you can toss all the juices. So make a little cut here like this. Got my cheerleader back there cheering me on. So all the juices in here, we're gonna go ahead and toss that. Leave our brisket here. Okay, first thing I'm gonna do, just kind of rub and pat this excess moisture here. And FYI, I did put this brisket in the freezer for about 30 minutes before I'm beginning this trimming process here. Putting it in the freezer is gonna firm it up and make the fat a little bit easier to trim. Because this is a flat and it doesn't have a lot of fat on it, we're not gonna do too much trimming anyway. Mostly cleaning up the bottom, squaring it up a little bit, and making sure it's gonna fit in my pit barrel. So first thing I'm gonna do before I remove any fat, I'm gonna square it up to how I like it. You want it to be nice and even, a good shape. This is actually a nicely shaped flat, considering it's a choice flat. But we're gonna go ahead, this side's a little thin, so we'll square it up. Gonna even up this end a little bit, that's about it. And FYI, save all your trimmings. If there's a lot of fat, you can render it to tallow. Meat like this, cube it up, you can make stew. I trimmed a leg of lamb the other day, and sorry, my daughter's going crazy. I do apologize, but again, this is real life, folks. So trim this up, and we're gonna make that into stew. But do not toss your leftovers and your trimmings. When trimming your brisket, don't try to cut out too much of the meat. Let your knife do the work, okay? So what I'm gonna do here, and we'll go ahead and time lapse this, but I'm gonna go ahead and remove all this hard white fat and any silver skin. So I'll see you guys when I'm done. Okay, so I'm happy with this brisket here. We're gonna leave it as is. Could get off a little more silver skin, could make the fat a little prettier. I'm not worried about that. This should be good. From here, we're just gonna shape it up a little bit more. I actually really like the way this side looks. Just gonna take off this last little thing, make it a little even here. Okay, I'm gonna square up this side here. Again, all this is good stew meat, and depending how lean it is, you could even do jerky if there's not a lot of fat on it. So, I'm gonna trim up this side. You can see the meat's a little discolored here. That happens. So we're gonna go ahead and shave that off. It's not uncommon. Do not worry about it, but we're trying to only serve the best meat we can here. So just gonna take off the side here like that. You know what? I think I'm about damn near happy with this, except my pit barrel is only 18 inches. So I'm gonna measure this to make sure it'll fit real quick, and I'll check back with you. Here we have our brisket, and I will get an aerial shot of this after, but I've squared up the edges, trimmed it up to my liking. Should fit on my grill now. Looks nice and clean. For the top side, I'm not removing anything. This fat isn't as thick as I would actually like it. We are just gonna trim up this little piece, and then we're gonna leave it as is, inject it, rub it, get it on the smoker. For my flat, we're gonna go ahead and inject it. I don't normally inject a brisket, but because it's a flat and doesn't have hardly any fat in it, we wanna try to keep this bad boy moist. So I'm gonna inject it, get it rubbed down. For the injection, I'm gonna try to go with the grain, go deep, inject as I pull out, and then plug the hole to kind of keep that meat in there. And I'm gonna try to inject all this liquid into this bad boy. Okay, so here's our flat. Nice, injected, plump, looking good, excited in the direction we're heading. Gonna go ahead and apply our mayo binder now, using mayonnaise because it adds a layer of fat and protection, and this thing is lean. So gonna rub it with mayo, hit it with some good rub, let it chill for about an hour. I'm gonna get that baby on. Okay, we've got our mayo here, and I got it in a separate container just because I'm gonna have to keep applying it. Keep it in a separate container like this. That way you don't contaminate the original container. So, and again, we're not going heavy, because if it's too thick, it'll kind of prevent you from getting a nice bark. But at the same time, I think moisture and tenderness is key with a flat. So I'm focusing on that a little bit more than bark, but we're using some post oak wood chunks and we're going on the pit. So we should be able to get a nice bark. I'm using this Barbecue Big and Bold beef rub. If you haven't used it, check it out. It's awesome on beef, steak, brisket. It's wonderful stuff. Everything they do is good, but I really recommend this product, especially for briskets and steaks, like I said. And as always, sprinkle your rub from a high point. You get a much more even cover that way. If you want to go ahead and pat it in, please do, but don't rub it, particularly with the mayonnaise, because you're going to get big clumps everywhere and it's not going to be even. So, see what I'm saying? See how the mayonnaise tacks up like that? So, you don't really want to rub it with the mayonnaise. Finished applying our rub. Slathered in mayo and Barbecue Big and Bold beef rub. We're gonna let this bad boy chill for probably about an hour. I'm gonna go play with my daughter, fire up the smoker, and we'll get this bad boy on later. All right, everybody, our brisket is rubbed and ready. We're gonna go ahead and get our pit ready to get the brisket on there. So here's how I like to set mine. We've got our charcoal basket there. There's wood chunks underneath the coals, and that's normally the only place I put them. But because I'm cooking such a thin flat, I'm trying to get as much smoke as possible, so I put some chunks on top as well. Gonna go ahead and pour our charcoal over that. Let this come to temp for 20 minutes, and we'll get the brisket on. Okay, beef brisket. It's been about 5 hours. Cracking this thing open. Nice dark bark. Looking good. We're gonna pull it off and get it wrapped up. We're gonna finish it in the oven because, as Harry Sue says, BTUs are BTUs. It's not taking on any more smoke flavor at this point anyway. So, okay, like a Christmas present, 2 layers of aluminum foil. We've got our brisket in here. Gonna go into the oven at 285 degrees for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, till it's probe tender. Then we'll rest, then we'll eat. I did foil because I'm really concerned about moisture, not so much the bark. It's a flat, has no fat. I'm trying to keep it moist and juicy.
Yeah.